What is up, my fellow Shield Brothers? Shield Brothers 6 here with your weekly dose of history once again. And today we'll be talking about the day it is, St. David's Day, the Welsh holiday. So let's get started for today. St. David, patron saint of Wales. So who was St. David, you may be asking, or Dewi Sant in Welsh? David was reputedly born on a cliff top near Chapel Nan on the southwest Wales coast during a fierce storm. Both his parents were of Welsh loyalty. His father was son of Sande, a prince of Powys, and Nun was his mother, who was a daughter of chieftain of Maniva. Now the little town called St. David's after him. The site of David's birth is marked by the ruins of a tiny ancient chapel close to a holy well, and its most recent addition, a 18th century chapel dedicated to his mother Nun, can be seen there. So here's the Legendarium of St. David. In medieval times, it was believed that St. David was the nephew of King Arthur. Legend has it also that the patron saint of Ireland, St. Patrick, foresaw the birth of David in 520 AD. According to legend, David performed several miracles during his life, including restoring Paulinus' sight, and Paulinus was his tutor in the church. It is also believed that he lived after eating poisoned bread, and even restored the sight of his tutor, as well as raised the land in front of him at a sermon he was giving so that everyone could hear him and see him. It was also said that during a battle against the Saxons, David advised his soldiers to wear leeks in their hats so that they could easily be distinguished from their enemies, and this is why the leek, is one of the symbols and emblems of Wales. I find that kind of funny, but let's continue. The history of St. David. The young David grew up to be a priest, being educated at the monastery of Hen Fianwu under the tutorage of St. Paulinus. I am so sorry for all the butchering of the Welsh language you're going to get today. Also becoming a missionary, David traveled throughout Wales and Britain, and even made a pilgrimage all the way to Jerusalem, where he was consecrated a bishop. He founded 12 monasteries, including Glastonbury and one at Maniva, which would later become known as St. David's, which he made his bishop seat. He was also named Archbishop of Wales at the Synod of Bruvy at Cardiganshire in 550. So he was very devout, and he was very determined on spreading the Catholic faith, and you can see that through his bishopry and archbishopry, as well as just the monasteries and pure lengths he would go to get to all his people. St. David's death and its lasting effects. St. David died on March 1st, 589 AD, which would later become known as St. David's Day. He was allegedly over 100 years old. His remains were buried in a shrine in the 6th century cathedral, who plundered the site, and it was ransacked in the 11th century by Viking invaders, who plundered the site and murdered 2 Welsh bishops. After his death, his influence spread far and wide, first through Britain and then by sea to Cornwall and Brittany. In 1120, Pope Calixtus II canonized David as a saint. Following this, he was declared patron saint of Wales. Such was David's influence on the people, and through his many pilgrimages that were made to him, that he was established right away as the patron saint of Wales. And such was David's influence that many pilgrimages were even made to St. David's Cathedral, where he was supposedly buried, and the Pope decreed that 2 pilgrimages made to St. David's equaled 1 to Rome, and while 3 were equal to 1 to Jerusalem, which were really big deals back then for the Catholic peoples. 50 churches in South Wales alone bear his name now. St. David was one of those figures that, although not entirely huge in history, had a very large moral and spiritual support for the people of that nation, and in Welsh history and for the Welsh people, it is a very big deal for St. David's Day. What symbols are associated with St. David's Day? Well, although many associate St. David with leeks or daffodils, his symbol is actually the dove, which is usually rested on his shoulder in all of his depictions. But during a battle against the Saxons, as I said earlier, is where that he was supposedly caught saying, "Put leeks in your hat to be distinguished," and that's how they got the leek. And daffodils are in bloom around this time of year in Wales, and that became the national symbol of Wales in the 19th century through a mixture of trends and linguistic confusion. So, how is St. David's Day celebrated? There are numerous country and county festivals and fairs and dances, all with a dragon theme, which take place across Wales on St. David's Day, which is today. These often include wearing traditional Welsh dress and singing national songs. The biggest celebration is the National St. David's Day Parade, which is held in Candriff and finishes off at St. David's Hall. Many people also attend church services or recitals where people read Welsh literature. The traditional meal at St. David's Day is a soup made of leek and other vegetables known as a caul. And this is because St. David was a very stern vegetarian and only drank water. So to honor him, they also have that vegetarian soup on St. David's Day. This here is St. David's Cathedral in Pembrokeshire, where the remains of the saint were buried after his death in 589 AD. In this picture there, you can see that. So, it is not certain really how much of the history of St. David is fact and how much is mere speculation or religious speculation. However, in 1996, bones were found in St. David's Cathedral where it is claimed it could be Dewey himself. So, as the Welsh say, Duit Gule Dushi Hapisi. Happy St. David's Day. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Shield Brother 6. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this. If not, you can leave me a dislike down below. As always, if you have a comment or a suggestion or anything to say at all, you can leave that for me in the comment section down below. This has been Shield Brother 6 with your weekly dose of history. And happy St. David's Day to you all, and I'll catch y'all next time.